Hi, and welcome to Debunk File. My name is Sep, and today we are once again going on a dive. If this is your first 4chan deep dive, then welcome. We've had a lot of newcomers find us through this series, and I'm sure there's some more here as well. We really hope you enjoy this series. If this isn't your first one, then as always, sit back and let's get right into it. For our first post of the night, technically this may be cheating a bit, as the 4chaner in question found a horrifying discovery on Facebook, but nonetheless, it is something that must be seen. Even on the Facebook post, it shows somebody that had also found it, and wasn't the one that originally posted it. Regardless, this is what it says. Facebook isn't letting me share this and I wonder why. Not my post, just sharing it. I wasn't gonna post this, but I can't stop trying to figure out what the fuck this thing is. I heard something scream at like 11:30 last night and went on my side of the yard and found this thing. It was dead when I found it. Share with your friends. What is that? This is the main question people are asking, and with 4chan being, well, 4chan, naturally a ton of people thought it was some sort of extraterrestrial creature. Especially with the admittedly very strange claim of Facebook not allowing the post to be shared. Thankfully, reverse image searching the images in question yields many results. As you can see, there are a multitude of articles about the situation, and with that, there are a ton more alien claims. According to almost all of these articles, the sighting of this creature came very shortly after thousands of people reported seeing a UFO right in the area. I was also able to find the actual original posting of the creature. So it seems like the theory that this is actually some sort of alien is actually by far the most popular, but is that really what we are seeing here? Is this very post the proof that we have always been waiting for? Well, it isn't admittedly too likely, especially when stacked up against some other theories. The other main theory that I've seen is that this is some sort of fetus that was likely attacked by a predator, hence the disfigurement. Of course, the next question that would follow that is, well, what animal is it? And the most popular choice among that is that it is a deer fetus. Now, while I did do research, I don't admittedly have as keen of an eye or the best knowledge on the anatomy of a deer to confirm or deny that theory, but I will say that it is much more plausible than the alien theory, and it may also be able to explain that screaming too. Beyond that, some people even wonder whether it's a cryptid, or if it's fake entirely. While we can't wholeheartedly give an answer as to what this thing truly is, the deer theory definitely seems the most plausible, at least to us. But who knows? Maybe aliens truly have been hiding right under our noses the whole time. For our next 4chan post, we have a terrifying moment coming from a website I've actually used in the past before. Hello. Before I delete all traces of this, as it gave me an odd and unpleasant feeling, I wanted to write about it here so it is not lost forever. I recently found out about a website called artflow.ai, where an AI generates portraits based on whatever text you input. For fun, I tried all sorts of words to see what would come out of it, including words like Jesus, God, and Satan. First of all, the generated results surprised me, Satan especially, as he looked exactly like the appearance he had in nightmares I experienced a while ago. Since the website can only keep 6 generated portraits at a time, I wanted to save this batch I generated, including the Satan portrait. Well, when I went to look at my folder with all the saved images, the Satan portrait changed. All the other portraits were identical from the website except Satan's. I wish I was making this up, but I swear I'm telling the truth. His hair had become messier and more gray, as well as his beard. His skin tone changed and looks more cracked. He smiles with his teeth with an insane-looking stare, instead of the more stoic look from the image I generated. And worst of all, his eyes are glowing red, and it looks like blood is dripping from his lips. I don't know what to make of this. There could be some logical reasons behind how this could have happened, but not once in my life have I ever saved an image just for it to turn into something else. And of all the portraits I made, only the Satan one changed. As soon as I saw the thumbnail, I felt odd pressure and vibrations in my body, and my religious mother told me to instantly delete the file. I will upload it here first and then follow up with a screenshot of what it looked like on the website before disappearing. I sincerely hope it will not affect any of you negatively as it did with me. I just do not want this information to be lost. Make of it what you will. God bless. He also shared images of some of the other portraits, along with what the Satan image originally looked like as seen here. To be honest, this isn't one of which I could properly give an answer for. It really does read genuine, but of course, it also isn't possible to literally prove that either. One thing is for sure, I definitely have never seen or heard of an image suddenly changing that drastically when saving it. As one last comment, the OP gave a possible theory as to what he thinks is the most logical explanation, having to do with the website possibly having a function to worsen any generated drawings of Satan, but that isn't true. While I wanted to believe the poster badly, I frankly can't. It seems just as likely that this glowing Satan was just another separate portrait made afterwards.
Not only that, but I myself actually wanted to test this out to see if it would happen too. This involved me literally waiting 800 entire minutes for the image to be made too, and after all that waiting, it didn't distort or anything. The original image is right here, and the one that I saved in my computer looks the exact same.
But still, the thought of an image that could actually be demonic was something that I found really intriguing, so it was certainly worth showing. If you have any different theories as to what could be going on here, we'd love to hear them. As for now, let's continue the dive. For our third post of the night, we have something that in some ways is slightly similar to our first post, but also much more disturbing. The day before yesterday, I was out walking alone in a woods in northern Scandinavia. I suddenly realized that the ravens are making a hell of a racket fighting over something. I figure it's probably a cadaver. Since I know the landowner, I figured I should investigate and inform him if I find anything odd. So I start walking over to the approximate location of the suspected cadaver, and sure enough, I see something lying on the ice of a frozen creek a bit further ahead. I start noticing puddles of blood around the cadaver in the snow, along with tracks that indicate a short but brutal struggle. I take a look at the cadaver and see it's a small roe deer. The odd thing is that it's in immaculate shape, with the exception that the neck has been eaten. Nothing else on the cadaver shows any sign of injury, which is very odd because whatever killed this deer, it wasn't wolves or an eagle. So I kneel down next to the cadaver to have a closer look. I reach out to move its neck to get a better look at the bite marks, and that's when I realize it's still warm. And not just lukewarm, it's full body temperature warm. Now it's pretty cold out, about -13 Celsius with a strong wind chill. So it would have only taken a short while for the cadaver to start freezing, but even the blood on the ice was still liquid. Whatever killed this thing is still around here somewhere. At this point, I get really paranoid and start looking around, but I don't see anything. So I take a closer look at the bite marks on the neck. The large blood vessels and the trachea have been bitten off very cleanly. It looks like something cut them with sharp scissors. So whatever killed this deer has very sharp, scissor-like teeth made for cutting through flesh efficiently. I look for tracks in the surrounding area, but I can't find any that make sense. The largest paw prints I find nearby are only slightly larger than fox prints, and it certainly was not a fox that killed this deer. I don't feel like staying any longer, so I snap a few photos and get the fuck out. On the way back, I call the landowner and tell him about it. He walked out there about 45 minutes later, but he never found the carcass. He found where it had been, and then he found drag marks. 3-kilometer-long drag marks that lead over a frozen lake he didn't want to cross. I asked him if he saw any tracks, but he didn't see any either. Now this is really freaking me out. The only thing I think that could kill something like this is an Arctic lynx, but they are quite large and leave paw prints much larger than anything I could find, and they don't drag dead deer for 3 kilometers in less than an hour. Looks like the deer was laying dead on the ice for a while since it had melted the snow in the ice. Then there are some drag marks. My guess is that the creature had just killed the deer and eaten a bit of it, then started dragging it off, but it only got a few meters before I came trundling conspicuously through the woods and chased it off. Also, this creature must be very light, since it didn't leave any tracks. and it could easily walk around in ice that was far too weak to bear me. Here's a close-up on the neck. Now, in regards to what the body looked like, I'm not trying to have a re-upload happen again, so sadly that can't be shown here, but we will link the thread in the description for those that are curious. Basically though, the neck was as described, completely gone, pretty much down to the bone. That is certainly a really interesting condition to find something in, along with all the other things that the OP mentioned, such as the fact that no prints could be found anywhere, and that it was supposedly dragged over an ice lake. There truly aren't any animals I can think of native to the area that would pull off such a feat, and of course, due to that, the suggestions of a cryptid entirely are popular among those who have seen this post. But if you have any theories as to what could have done this, once again, definitely comment those below, because as of now, we're stumped. But there is one thing that is certain. There is definitely something terrifying in those woods. For our final post of the night, we have saved the longest for last. What we have here is a series of ghost stories regarding a very specific house our OP grew up in, but unlike the majority of ghost stories I've ever read, these ones truly feel different. They genuinely creeped me out. So without further ado, let's simply get right into them. First, I'd like to make this clear, that what I'm about to say is 100% true. I'm not making this stuff up, I don't have any explanations, and I don't believe in God. I just want to share my experiences and see if anyone has been through something similar, and if so, I'd like to hear it. The curiosity burns me yet. The scientist in me has debunked all, even my own bizarre experiences. I put them down to imagination, but I'll let you decide. Anyway, here goes. The first thing I experienced was when I was around 3 years old, and so have no recollection of it. The story was only told to me when I was about 9 or 10, and was presented as fact. The story goes, we'd recently moved into a new house. Mum, 2 bros, and a sis, and they had all gone off to school, leaving infant me and Mum alone. Anyway, I'm upstairs doing whatever boys do at 3, and she's downstairs doing whatever mums do. So, after an hour, the story goes, I come down and ask, "Who's the lady laying on your bed, Mom?" I then go on to describe a lovely conversation that I had with some mystery woman apparently laying on my mother's bed, and then went on to give a vague description of this nice woman. Ginger hair, walking stick, I even had a name, Jenny. So my mother goes and checks. Nothing, and rightly puts it down to the imagination of a child and ignored it. A few weeks later, after we'd started meeting neighbors and getting settled in, when she got into a conversation with a neighbor named Val. Val mentioned that her mother had lived at our house for many years and had gone off to a nursing home because of ill health. She had died in the nursing home a few weeks before we moved in. She had ginger hair and had a walking stick. Her nickname was Ginny. That was the start of Ginny. Right after this, obviously, somebody suggested that they think these may be fake, but is interested anyways. To where the OP laments again about how they don't know what to believe. Before getting into the next story, one other thing to mention before getting back into these stories is that there are actually so many of them. I wasn't able to include each and every last one. Because of that, again, we're going to have all this in the description, but I figured I'd let you know that the screenshots I show aren't every single one of them. Anyways, let's get back to these. Okay, a few years later, I remember the event, but I'm not sure how old I was. I'm guessing 5 or 6. It's evening time, around 8 p.m. I'd guess, and I'm sitting playing in the living room with my mom who's watching TV. My bros and sis are upstairs along with about 5 or 6 friends. I can hear them upstairs playing music and chatting when suddenly the music stops, followed by the heavy footsteps of my brother's friends coming down the stairs and swiftly out of the front door. My sister is crying in the background and my mom is looking annoyed at the fuss. My brothers come into the living room and are quickly quizzed by my mom, to which they both looked at each other puzzled. Apparently, in front of around 8 people, a catalog had risen from the floor near my brother's bedroom door, flew across the room, and hit my sister clean in the face. Everyone was in agreement to the events, even my crying sister, and from that point, the house got a reputation. Last one, then I'm going. This was roughly the same year, so I'm around 8 or 9. I'd been out playing whatever with a friend called Lee, and we were arriving at my house. We walk in and he heads up to the stairs toward my room. I glance in the living room to see an empty house, then follow him up the stairs. I just got to the top of the stairs when I hear him shout, "Oh, what the fuck was that?" Not in a scared of monsters tone, but more of a fear of OMG spiders tone. I turn the corner and hear him again, but it sounds more urgent this time. Suddenly he bolts past me to the top of the staircase, apparently scared shitless. He then misses the first step, slips, and goes down the full staircase on his ass, hitting the bottom with a thump. I race down the stairs asking what's the matter, just in time for him to get to his feet. He looks straight into the living room, screams, and then runs out the front door straight into the road, narrowly avoiding being run over. His father hears this commotion from across the street and comes over asking him what had occurred. He mumbled something to his dad, then went into the house. I later knocked on Lee's door and was told, "I'm not allowed to play with you anymore." And he never did again. From that point on, friends were wary of coming to my house. I'd just like to add, Ginny never harmed me and I never felt threatened. I thought of her as a protector, and my sisters would joke, "Yeah, she likes you." Apart from the book hitting my sister, nobody was harmed. People saw/experienced things in that house, and I'm just glad to share some of it. From here on out, the stories get much, much creepier. Later that year, we had a fire in the house. A bedside lamp had fell over and had set a duvet alight. Firemen were called at God knows what time a.m., and I stood outside in my pants with my mom and siblings watching the small blaze being tackled. The cause was never explained, though it was obvious the cause was that a lamp had set a duvet alight. Anyway, fires happen, so we'll ignore that. Anyway, a few weeks later, we go on a caravan holiday for 2 weeks. We had no idea what we were about to come home to. We arrive home and it was immediately obvious that the front main window had been smashed. We enter the home to find it in shambles, food packets strewn around the floor, beer cans, etc., talc powder/flour all over the floor. We'd been burgled. By kids by the looks of it, and it looked like they'd had a pretty good time making a mess before they left. Anyway, nothing was stolen because Mom had clearly left any valuables with neighbors and friends, but the house was a mess. Actually, my BMX was stolen. I'd had it only around 2 weeks, so I usually forget I ever had it. A neighbor confirmed a few nights ago that they had heard the sounds of breaking glass, then hours later, it seems they had returned to have an impromptu party at my house. Neighbors had heard noise, but didn't know the source until the next day. Anyway, the neighbor asks, "Did you have somebody looking after the house for a few days?" Apparently, the day after we left for the caravan holiday, neighbors had noticed a figure looking out of the windows during the day. At night, they reported seeing a silhouette through the curtains, again apparently keeping watch. We never found an explanation, and soon after, we moved house. I loved that house. It will always be my true home, and I'd move back there tomorrow, but I swear on my life, my kids' lives and my family's lives, and they'd agree that the house was haunted. Things didn't stop there, though. LOL. We moved to London, and after a year or two of moving around from home to home, we settled in a house in Rains Park near Wimbledon. It was a lovely area, full of trees and open grasslands. We'd bought a dog, Bonnie the staff, and Sis and I used to take her for long walks on Wimbledon Common, so everything was good. Things were looking up and the old house was forgotten about. Anyway, one night I'm laying in bed and I can hear the dog walking around my bed. I can hear and feel its footsteps as it's walking around the bed and its nails clicking on the carpet. Then it dived under the bed and is making a commotion. I can feel it pushing the mattress up from under me, so I say, "Oi, Bonnie, what are you doing? Come on, get up on the bed." To which there's no response. So again, I call out, "Come on the bed." Still no response. So annoyed, I throw my blanket off and get up and switch the light on. I get on my knees and look under the bed. Bonnie, she's not there. I call out, "Bonnie," and look around the room. Nothing. So I scratch my head for a second, then go downstairs to see where this damn dog is. Sure enough, she's curled up on the floor, snoring like a baby. "How long's Bonnie been there?" I asked my mom. "She's been here all night," was the response. This was the start of the haunting part 2. A few weeks later, I'm probably 11 or 12 at this point, I'm in my room doing whatever and decide to go for a piss. So I'm in the bathroom having a piss when I hear my brother behind me whisper through the door, "Beware of the dog." I jump out of my skin, then shout at him, "Stop messing around, I'm not scared." He'd often mess around, so I finish my piss and go looking for him. Nothing. I checked that whole house from top to bottom, expecting him to have found some new awesome hiding place that I hadn't noticed, but no. The only people at home were me, Alan, Mom's BF, and Bonnie the dog. Alan confirmed my bro had left the house hours ago. The voice was unmistakable. It was my brother's voice. I'm certain. I now put it down to imagination, as I have with all of my experiences, but it was so real to me that I simply cannot be sure. Again, I have no satisfactory explanation and refuse to believe in ghosts. Sorry if the stories are boring. In all cases, I'm just giving a true account of what happened and refuse to embellish any details for people's entertainment. That's not why I'm writing this. Also, if anyone has any ideas on these matters or has shared similar experiences, I'd love to hear them. That's the final story that we are showing here, and again, these ones really do feel different than almost every other ghost story I hear about. They really give me that feeling of something I could experience, but could struggle to find an explanation for. I'm not even going to attempt to prove or disprove them either, simply for the fact that when you are dealing with ghosts, it'll naturally just devolve into the age-old question of if ghosts are truly real or not, which isn't something I'm going to get into here. Once again, there were more stories than just the ones I showed, but I chose the ones that I in particular found the creepiest. To close this final post off, I'll just say that the subtlety of these stories, at least compared to most other ghost stories I hear about, was the main reason these ones moved me so much more. It truly makes me think of something somebody would tell me by a campfire, and for that, there was no better way to end the night. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to follow all of our social medias for updates and exclusive content. Those are all linked in the description. We would also love you guys to consider joining our Patreon, Debunk Plus. For only $1 a month, you get access to videos early, exclusive content, and podcasts. We just did a podcast on King Tut, so that should be coming out soon. And of course, make sure to like this video, share this with your friends, and subscribe. As always, my name is Sep from Debunk File. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.